Let me hit record.
This meeting is being recorded.
Okay, we are going to call to order the PRCAC regular meeting for October 19th at 7:02 p.m.
Sure.
First item is approval of agenda. Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll give you a motion to approve the agenda.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that's unanimous. Next is approval of the minutes. Thank you, Brian. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
They were excellent.
Excellent. As always.
Yeah, they really were.
I hope he doesn't have any plans on not participating for years.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, you're so good at it. I mean, the King's English, for God's sake.
Okay, correspondence. I did not receive any other than a request for a link to the Zoom meeting. Anyone else? Okay. The next is our first public comment. Anyone online who has something that they would like to bring up, if you can unmute yourself.
Two participants.
Okay.
There they are.
Seeing none, first item is the drainage master plan. Tuesday, Brian is out of town, so I will be meeting by myself unless somebody else is available with Public Works. You want to come with me? Okay, Bill's going to come with me. With the Public Works employees, engineers, and the engineering firm hired by Whatcom County for the first walk around, meet and greet, and exploration of Point Roberts.
Where do we meet them?
We will be meeting at 9:30. I will send you the details, and we are running until 5 p.m.
Okay, and here?
No, I'll send you the details.
Okay.
So we're going to have that meeting, and then once we have that, they will be in Point Roberts. They're going to be starting their work to do the mapping, and then Public Works will be contacting us to set up some community town halls. If you have not completed the online survey, I've put it out 2 or 3 times in regard to issues you may have on your property. If you can please fill out that survey. The more information they have, the better on locations in Point Roberts that are of a concern to the community, the better. Next, we have broadband. That would be to you, PRCAC.
Yeah, not much to report here. In the last meeting, we discussed, the options we have and the fact that the WSBO grant can only be used for fiber to the premises. So at the last meeting, we had the recommendation to pursue that since we really don't have any other choice of what to do with those monies. So I conveyed that to Whatcom PUD, Chris, and he said, thank you, and they're going to work as fast as they can to make that happen. So no other updates.
Okay. PRCAC, can you do me a favor? I had been in contact back and forth with Would Be Tell regarding when they were going to be able to start back up on Marine Drive, laying the fiber. I haven't heard back. Would you mind reaching out to them to see what the timeline is with the archaeological and them starting back up on their fiber project?
Sure, no problem. I'll do that.
Thank you. Next is additional at-large membership. I did send an email to Jed Holmes and South Paul Sadoo, making the request. Again, I'm assuming with the election and everything going on, it may be that they want us to wait until our normal election cycle of February. I will continue to reach out, but that might be what we're looking at, is when the normal cycle of February for the appointees to the PRCAC, just so that everybody doesn't have the weird timelines.
Well, that's giving them a lot of credit.
Well, there is a lot going on, and it might be, like I said, we have all of these seats that are up for election. One being the executive, and it is the executive that does
Right,
do the PRCAC. So
right.
Yeah.
it might be, like I said, I will continue to reach out, but I think we're doing okay so far. It would be nice to have the extra hands, but I think, everybody here has been working really well on their specific tasks, and we can make it another couple months. Next is the dog park, Anel.
Yeah, well, I guess I need to have more information about what we were talking about before the meeting began. But the plan at present is for us to take this issue to the candidates night and to remind the incumbents as well as any new candidates of our situation here and elicit, give them a general overview and then elicit a vote of support or not from those people on county council and the executive's office. So
Okay.
that's our plan for now.
Okay. Next will be the Transportation Benefit District. Brian, you were the one writing the letter to Sat Paul, letting him know that, in no shape, manner, or form do we want to no longer have the benefit district. And did we ever receive any response back?
I'm actually at a loss here no, we have never received a response.
Okay.
But I know we had spoken, or someone from our group had spoken with Sharon Shoemake, and she had stated she was doing something at her level, and I don't know anything about that. I would think that's probably our most positive potential is to maybe check with her. But
Yeah, she was going to try and see about changing the RCW to be more clear and specific rather than being so generalized, and remove the interpretation problem that exists with the TBD fund, just so that it would be able to have more wide range of uses.
I can draft a letter for your signature to her.
Okay.
Just to check and see
What's going on with that?
Okay. If the committee agrees.
Yes.
Make it as good as the minutes.
And the other letter that you.
Yeah, the other letter that you wrote.
Next is Whatcom Transportation Authority, which is PRCAC.
Yeah, Anel might have some input here as well. Again, not too much progress. I think the next step was for WTA and Circle of Care to get together and
That's right.
discuss, whether Circle of Care could provide volunteer drivers while WTA provides a van to them. That meeting is set for, I believe, next Monday, 4 or 4:30 p.m. at the Circle of Care board meeting. So that's where we are. Anel, you have something to add?
Just to say that the director of the WTA is very much in favor of getting us a van and providing us with a grant so that we can operate a transportation van here in Point Roberts.
Okay.
Good.
Next, okay, this is a new one to me. Environmental Constraints Workshop.
That goes back a couple months. Some of these things just stay on the agenda, as you know. We had spoken, and when I say we, I mean that's the royal we. I mean it's all of us. We had spoken that we perhaps wanted to do something.
Oh.
The community was informed as to the archaeology,
Yeah.
sensitive species and wetlands. And
So
that's
yeah,
what
I
they-
had worked because I had a conversation with the state
Right.
that does the archaeological DAPA, historical and archaeological. They wanted to come up to Point Roberts from Olympia on a Saturday, and they wanted to do it as well with the PDS staff, because the PDS staff is in essence their first line of defense to ensure that people are having appropriate permits for archaeology. And that just makes sense to have the same PDS staff that deals with wetlands, because of course we have so many wetlands to come up at the same time. I had reached out to Jed Holmes again to try and help coordinate that with his staff.
Right.
And have not heard back. So I will make a note to myself to reach back out to DAPA and just schedule something. Just so that, yeah, people can have a good understanding of what the do's and don'ts are, especially when we're talking about archaeology.
And tree retention, that was
You
the
know.
other thing that came up.
Yep.
was To,
Right. Well, because we already have a tree retention rule. It's making sure that people actually understand what that tree retention
exactly, yeah.
rule is,
Mhm.
And follow it.
and follow it.
Mhm.
The reason that I get very concerned about DAPA is if people don't understand what it is,
Right.
it's actually a felony.
Yeah.
If you disturb an archaeological site, knowing or not knowing. They don't, not knowing, don't, but it is, quite,
Ignorance isn't a
yeah.
defense. Ignorance
We
is
always
not a
say that.
defense. Yeah, right.
The next is the emergency evacuation concern.
That was, I think you were gonna get a hold of Prep and the chief.
Yeah, I spoke with, we texted back between myself and the chief, and he and Prep were taking it on board, and I have not heard back. Let me just see if there's any late update. No.
Yeah, I didn't see the last prep agenda, so I did not go to the last meeting. Well, if you want to follow up on that,
Yes.
that would be great. Next is property owner's responsibility for right-of-way ditch and culverts. This is again, something that we were going to include in if we could do a town hall with, DAPA, PDS, with Public Works. Maybe I'll speak with the engineers when we meet on Tuesday, and at least get some, if they have any pamphlets or flyers that we can take photos of and post, so that people understand that the culvert under your driveway is your responsibility to maintain, clean, so that we can have proper flowing ditches where we do have ditches.
Besides a pamphlet, is there anything on their site or anything written that we could produce besides a pamphlet, but include like a write-up or a paragraph?
Yeah, I can do that. Absolutely. I'm just wanting to see with them if
Right.
they have something. It might be one of the ones that they just have in their office
just
or
wondering
on
if
their
there's
website. Yeah.
A very specific pointed paragraph that says, hey, here's the responsibilities of a homeowner in maintaining the ditches.
Well, so I know it is when you pull a revocable encroachment permit
Right.
to put in a culvert,
Yeah.
it is on that paperwork.
It's on that paperwork, so there's actually
But
documentation.
not everybody who owns a home with a driveway with a culvert actually is the one that pulled the permit to put the culvert
Right.
in.
But that's what I'm saying is something
Right.
that could be provided to a larger audience where
Yeah.
they're not throwing debris in a ditch.
Yeah.
And they're maintaining the water flow, and they're not, even if they don't have a culvert, if they're not filling in something like I saw on that one property, remember
Yeah.
we took the picture?
No.
We were wondering why the water wasn't flowing downhill. It's because the guy built a land bridge out of dirt, and he had no egress for the water.
Mm-hmm.
And they were wondering why it was overflowing into people's backyards. So it's kind of mind-boggling that somebody could look at that and not figure it out. But That's why I'm saying, if there's something where I can say to somebody, hey, look, here's what it is.
Right.
Okay?
I will go searching, but, and I can pull the language off of the,
Yeah, pull the
That
language up.
permit.
Let's see what it says.
So I'm thinking, when you buy a home in a development that has an HOA,
Mhm.
the HOA rules and regulations are part of your closing documents.
Okay.
You don't get to close your house without getting a copy.
So I did check, and if you've ever gone and you've bought your house and you're sitting and you're signing all of the papers,
Uh-huh.
and there's all this little fine print, initial here, initial there, it's
Mhm.
in there.
Mhm.
It's in there, but it's in there.
It
But
is-
nobody reads it because you are like literally signing this huge stack of documents and you're just initialing here, there on those things.
I agree. I understand that is typically.
Like the septic issues
Is
are in
that-
there, everything's in there.
It is happening now every time someone.
Was in
closes a
mine.
house in Point Roberts. Okay.
Anywhere.
Okay, well, I'm only interested in Point Roberts. So, how can we, it's a challenge. How can we get people to be acquainted with what those documents are? Could we make a position of asking the realtors to call that to their attention? Could we, how could we encourage awareness, compliance, and understanding?
I do the same thing that we did with the septic class. That's why I'm asking for documentation so that I can sit people down and say, here's what it is. And that's where you do, it's one thing to do this thing about conspicuously post something
Mhm.
so that people can see. It's like abandoned property. You got to conspicuously post it in the newspaper and so on. What I'm talking about is maybe having something that says, hey, look, we're going to hold up a forum and this is what it is, and to let people know. And this is unequivocal, and this is not negotiable. And this is something that is required by every household owner on Point Roberts. And I'd be glad to figure out what that is and then educate myself. And I'd be happy to hold a class saying, hey, look, guys, here's what it is. Here's what works. Here's how it, and you
Yeah.
don't necessarily need somebody that, if you just have to know what the law is. And if there's any specific questions, take them back and get answers. But it seems to me that if this is what it says, and, like if you have to stop at a stop sign, here, look, guys, you stop at a stop sign. It looks like this, you stop. And if you don't stop, you could kill somebody or you get fined. So,
Well, that's why I'm thinking, like, if we can have the town hall that covers these different things, they're going to bring. So just like when we did the septic class, I've actually given out everyone all the extras that I kept.
Yeah.
For people who are like, oh, I missed the septic class. And I'm like, oh, well, here's the packet if you want to kind of read through it and
Right.
learn some stuff. And this is the link to the video. But then we can then as a community continue using that without the PDS staff each
Precisely
year
right.
to have these types of forums.
and that's why you talk about a piece of paper, and sure, people, but it's not verbal, it's not anecdotal, it's
Yeah.
something where I'm saying, here's the law.
Yeah.
Here's the rules. Did you do that? Read it out loud. Oh, you didn't? Okay, then you're in violation.
But I think that's, the best way is to, education goes a long way, and
That's
then
exactly right.
having it and then just repeating it every year.
Yeah.
So shall we
Okay.
set a target date for this?
Well, because DAPA, he has to come up from Olympia.
Okay.
So I will reach out to him, and basically here is going to be my answer to you. Whatever works for him, we're going to make work.
Got
Because
it.
he's coming up from Olympia,
Mhm.
and we will invite the PDS staff. He can send his information out to the county. They will all be invited, but whatever works for him, because he's coming up from Olympia to come and address this community,
Mhm.
we will make it work.
Okay, great.
And if anybody finds any information or has any information very specific to this issue, they can send it to me.
Yeah.
Okay? I think everybody knows my email address.
Yeah. It's like everybody knows my phone number.
So because I want to, I want to understand this, so when you say to somebody, there's no equivocating, and I get tired of that.
Yeah.
Because I'm tired of the shoe shine and the handshake. Here's what the law is. It's like stopping at a stop sign. Okay?
So you put list of 10 most frequent
I,
public issues. That was just because that's our list, is the 10
yeah,
most.
I think that
Yeah.
falls into everything we're talking
Yeah.
about above when it comes to a, workshop.
Yeah.
So I think that's, we'll
Yeah.
just put that there.
Okay.
Okay?
We can move on.
So new business, sorry, request to county council to ascertain adequacy of public safety given existing staffing, both county and federal. Request to county council for a response re apparent inaction and reported perceived criminal activity.
That's a bullet point.
Anel asked me to put this on the agenda, and I was concerned that if we did something without any kind of an action, we would open this room up to just a lot of people that are upset and without any kind of resolution potential. So I took it upon myself to draft a letter to the county, the executive, and the county council itself, which I believe identifies the issues as they were given throughout the community. And it requests the county to respond to both what is the state of the county's responsibility as far as public safety, and what do we get, what actually is what is here or not here. There was some question, there's a lot of stuff that was on the edge of hearsay, except it wasn't, because people were putting their names to it, saying, hey, I've had these problems. I've got proof, documentation. I've talked to the sheriff, and the sheriff hasn't done anything. I made really clear that we are not lawyers, nor public safety personnel. And so it seemed the best that we could do was to ask the county to respond to this. At the same time, there was a situation in which the federal government, through Customs and Border Agency, was involved with a gentleman who just seemed to be wandering around and crossing the border multiple times without benefit of federal sanction. And
Thank you.
you're welcome. So I asked within the draft letter, I asked the county to query the federal government and see what's up, see what are we supposed to do, what's going on,
Yeah.
and that kind of stuff. It seems before we open it up to a public forum here, as far as the community, it's probably best to get the answers from the responsible agencies.
Sure.
And so I drafted the letter. It is a draft. Certainly, I'd be delighted to hear what the committee has to say.
I'm going to start with Prakash. You're on the line. If you want to unmute yourself.
Yeah, I think the issues called out in that draft letter, Brian, thank you for doing that. I think they're all valid. I'm wondering whether we should first take that up with the Whatcom County Sheriff before sending this to the executive.
My understanding of our position is we're supposed to go through the executive with our request. I may be wrong, but I'm not sure we can go straight to an agency and tell them to do work for us. It's an old bureaucratic thing I've got, having worked in public agencies.
Yeah, not that we would be telling them, what to do, but just to give them an opportunity to respond to our concerns first before sending something to the executive. To me, seems like we're escalating to the executive, right?
Yeah, because
Where-
the sheriff is an elected position. Bill Elfo is an elected position. He actually does not answer to the executive.
Right, okay.
So my thing is, and I agree with Prakash, because you give somebody a shot to have a conversation, and that's what you really want to start as a conversation.
Mhm.
And it's not anecdotal, because you're correct. people have cited things and they're very specific, so it's almost in an affidavit form.
Mhm.
So, yeah, you're saying, I saw this happened, here's my name. Okay, so that's good. It's not anecdotal, so that's great. But I would give before I send it off to the set poll.
Yeah, I would rather, so
I'm old school, you give them a shot.
Okay.
seeing that the sheriff is an elected position and he does actually
Yeah.
not answer to the executive,
How do they, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. Go ahead and finish your thought.
that the question would be posed to the sheriff, to Bill Elfo,
Mhm.
to get the answers.
Mhm.
And then if it's that he comes back and says, oh, well, the executive doesn't give me enough budget, well, then we go to the executive, right? But giving the sheriff the time to actually answer the questions and so that we can actually answer the community
Okay.
appropriately.
I could break the letter up into two parts then, one to the county for the federal government because,
Right.
Right,
and then one to the sheriff.
Right.
I'll do that.
Even though actually, I think as far as working with the Homeland Security and Border Patrol,
Mhm.
that is handled through the sheriff's office, through Bill Elfo and the Department of Emergency Management.
Oh, well then, I will just retitle it then.
Yeah, I would check with Bill
Rehab
Elfo
it.
because I know that when they're dealing with the border and things like that,
Yeah.
it goes all through the sheriff's office. It doesn't go through the executive's office because it is
Okay.
the
Yeah.
law enforcement assisting a law enforcement.
that's exactly right.
My ignorance is now a little bit less. Thank you.
It's
Okay,
okay.
I will then essentially then just, or if you want to, you can just re-head that. I'll take care.
You take care of it. And you can send it off. So you can CC yourself on the email. So for response.
That's
Oh,
it,
okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
so it's
I'm
good you
good
had
with
the
that.
names and stuff, so. if they-
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Then it's not in.
And it's John Gargett is emergency management.
Yeah.
If you need his email, I have it.
There you go.
I'll send it to you.
Please.
How do you spell his last name?
Don't ask me. I can barely say it. Gargett.
Yeah,
Garnett.
if you could, that would be great if you could forward that. to me.
Sounds like.
It sounds like
Sounds like
spelling. I never
two
want a
words.
spelling bee. So.
Great.
Okay.
I'm an advocate of bullet points.
See,
And so I would like to work with you to make this more bulleted
Sure.
in terms of the issues.
Yeah, please do. It is a draft and that was, I mean, I certainly enjoyed the production of it, but I knew it could be made better.
Okay.
bullet points, they're great.
There you go. Many hands make
Especially
light
the
work.
sheriffs.
That's exactly right.
Okay, so next we are at our second open session for anyone who has anything that they would like to discuss, have us added to the next agenda, cares, concerns. Anyone, if you want to just unmute yourself.
I'm here.
Oh, it
Oh,
was Bob, good.
there you go. Hi, Bob.
Hey, Bob.
Evening. A couple of items, if I could. I missed it earlier. The Washington State Broadband Office has an open comment period. PointNet will comment. I'll send you a copy of our comments. You may or may not wish to comment directly to them, but there's an open comment period. So that's Washington State Broadband Office. Has to do with grants, solutions, should there be, issues regarding timing and solutions like hybrid solutions instead of just a singular, fiber is the gold standard. It will work for everybody except for those it doesn't work for. And then finally is low power FM. I reached out to Prep and some other people and couldn't get any response. So I will respond to the FCC open license application period, November 1 through November 8th. We will apply for a low power FM broadcast license for Point Roberts, Washington. And we can figure it out later. It's a nonprofit issue. But, when people talk about notifying the public about evacuation plans or everything, where are you going to go? To the internet? Good luck with that. And hopefully you get the message in time. What you're going to call your cell phone carrier? Good luck with that as well. Or maybe a local broadcast station in Vancouver will tell you that, hey, you're having an emergency down there in Point Roberts. You should do this. So I'll apply for the license. I'll get it. It's not for PointNet. It's not for me. I'd be glad to work with anybody. We'll just get the license first. We have 3 years to build. It will cover all of Point Roberts. It will be on the FM broadcast band. And there's plenty of stories on how it works, how to make it work, and how to get it funded so that it's self-funding. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Bob, for doing that. Is this the application of the license that costs $10,000?
No, I'm sorry, I didn't hear the last part of that. Is this a license?
Is this the license? I think you referred to this previously, that it's a $10,000 license or fee for the FCC.
No, there's no fee for the application. Has to be done through an LLC, a nonprofit LLC. So PointNet won't, and will, for lack of a better word or better description, unless someone has taken it, it will be filed under Point Roberts FM Society, and it will be a nonprofit, and it will be set up for education, which is the easiest way to do it. And that allows us to broadcast just about everything. It can be music education, can be anything you want. In fact, in terms of content, you can broadcast the PRCAC meeting audio stream.
That's pretty.
Yeah, you can do that.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, so have you already founded this 501c3?
No, I haven't yet, but I will this week.
So you know that the fee for doing that is quite hefty these days.
Not for a nonprofit.
Yes, it is.
Oh, okay.
I mean, just from Washington State or from the IRS?
No, from Washington State.
From Washington State. Okay, no worries then. It's the Fed.
Yeah.
That is costly.
Yeah, no, they don't care about that.
Okay, so it's just a Washington State nonprofit that you're going to
Right.
raise. Right. Okay.
Good.
Bob, can you share with me that link to the WSBO comment site? I'm only finding one from 2022.
I'll have to go look for it, but I'll send it to you. Yeah, it's there's a whole plan there that you can comment on. It's basically the WSBO plan for granting.
Yeah, I see that, but I don't see the last sort of request for comments is dated 2022. So I'm wondering whether that's expired already.
Yeah. No. It was just, I'm not sure when the comment period opened. I want to say it was 45 days ago or something like that.
Okay. All right. I'll look for it, but if you can send me that, that'd be great.
Yeah, I'd be pleased to do that.
Lee, you had some questions?
Thanks, Bob. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have the hiccups, I'm sorry.
That's all good.
So while we're waiting for Lee to get over the hiccups, I just want to raise once again the issue that she raised the last time or the meeting previous, that the comment section is controlled by the Parks Department. And it's not possible for the comment, the way it's set up right now. When anybody makes a comment in the chat, it only goes to you. It does not go to everybody else.
And that's on purpose.
That's what?
On purpose. Because multiple times during COVID, the chats were going crazy. Moderators of meetings couldn't keep up with the chats, and the chats started to get very, very nasty and inappropriate. So since we couldn't moderate them, it was decided to make it so that it's not possible. And that if you actually have a question that, we have multiple times that people can raise their hand, and that in any group, whether it be the taxpayers, parks department, anybody, there are open sessions for people to raise their questions, concerns, and not have that. Because there was times I was doing a PRCAC meeting that I was spending so much time kicking people out because they were going off in the chat and misbehaving that I couldn't actually
Yeah.
participate in the
No, you
meeting.
couldn't have remembered.
So that is actually on
I was on
purpose.
some of the meetings with Bennett.
Yeah, and we had to
and
do
we
that.
had that same issue.
Yeah. And
Ellie?
so it's done on purpose.
Ellie,
Yes, Mr. Bennett.
when we first started doing the live streaming, I contacted the state attorney general's office about it. And they recommended that you have to be seen and heard for all participation in government chats. And
Okay.
it's just like being in the room there. And that's, it's for the documentation purposes of it. So it's.
Yeah, so there's that, that portion as well. I forgot
Yeah.
about that. That's why you're supposed to say your name and
Yeah.
Yes.
and such.
Right, I just wanted there to be a specific reason and explanation
Yeah.
why members in the Zoom audience cannot speak to other members of the Zoom audience, and I understand that.
Yeah.
Thanks, Bennett.
Whether I agree with it or not is something else, but.
Well, so you can think of it this way. If we didn't have Zoom and we were in person,
Right,
if we had members sitting out there of the public
Yep.
that are trying to have conversations
That's
and they're trying to,
exactly.
what would we do? We would tell them, if you have something to say, please wait your turn and then you can speak.
Yeah.
This is not for you to be having a little debate over there on
Yeah.
your own.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So we have to understand that, yes, we have this great thing in Zoom
Mhm.
for people to be able to participate more.
Right.
But there still is etiquette, decorum, and the proper way to behave in a meeting.
What a concept.
That was like when we were called out. That's why when some of the guys were called out for passing notes during French class.
Right?
I remember that,
Right? So, okay.
right?
Okay, great.
So I hope Bennett and I,
Thanks,
between the two
Bennett.
of us, answered that question for you.
Outstanding, thank you.
Okay. Did anyone else? Sydney, Barbara.
Who else is there?
Lee had sent some stuff in the chat.
Use it.
Aaron.
Aaron. Okay. Anybody?
Lee, did you want to say something? I see your hand.
Sure. Yeah, I came to the meeting because if you've been paying attention in Nextdoor and whatnot, and our assessments of our properties, et cetera, there's a lot of brouhaha happening about it, and a lot of angry people and confused people. And I'm hoping that PRAC in some way will participate and corral the energy of the property owners here and the increases in the assessments, which means increases in taxes. But I saw something from Pat Grubb that says it's not necessarily true. It's there's a lot of unanswered questions, and it seems like now we have a deadline until the candidates' day. And I hope as the point comes together that we can rally and speak to this.
So yeah, I will say I do understand partly, what Pat is saying is a raise in your property values does not always equate to the same raise in property taxes. And that is just because anything that is under a levy is a maxed amount. So the levy varies based on your property value. So if someone has a levy that's $500,000 and property taxes go up, their rate changes and gets lower per $1,000 evaluation to maintain that $500,000 levy. They don't all of a sudden get a windfall because your property taxes went
Right.
up. That doesn't, but with that being said, we do have a couple of new levies going on that will be on the new.
And hopefully this doesn't, I mean, it's the old thing about understanding the concept of the levy and as a function of taxation and so on.
Yes.
And it's not going to affect people's view of the request for the levies. And the timing stinks,
Yeah.
but at the end of the day, that's what has to happen.
Yeah. So yes, taxes will increase for items in which are on your property taxes that are not levy based.
Right.
And it will adjust for anything that is a new levy.
Correct.
But anything that would be under an existing levy, that levy would just, rate would adjust to a lower amount
Precisely.
so that their budget remains the same.
Yeah.
So it does get confusing and I completely understand that. But this is something that, we don't know unless we ask questions and we
Right.
discuss it and,
Right.
not everybody wants to go down the levy hole and read all of the state Department of Revenue documents to understand.
Yeah.
And, took me about 4 times reading it before I finally wrapped my head around it.
But if you look at the current housing market and such, I can understand where they're going here, because tonight I was on, I was looking at Bloomberg and some of these other ones. Average price of a house now in the United States is $400,000.
Yeah.
It's obscene. And you realize that if you have a 30-year fixed on that, you pay $750,000 to buy that 400,000.
Yeah.
Go figure it out. It's 7.5%. It's $750,000.
Yeah.
You pay over $1 million for a $400,000 house.
But
Easily.
I think it is very important though, that people who did receive
Yeah.
their
I
new
did.
property
I did.
valuations,
Yeah.
that if you feel that they are, egregious, that you do make the phone call, you do fill out the paperwork, and, try and barter your property taxes down. I have, my lot, I kind of got mine and I'm like going, there's no way my lot is worth $100,000.
Mhm.
I'm like, what?
Where can I sell it?
Right? Yeah. I have an oceanfront property in Montana for you. But I think it is important though that people do speak their minds. They do make the phone call. They do fill out the paperwork. Some are probably correct in their valuations based on similar properties that have sold in Point Roberts, and they may be at a correct valuation. There are other properties that won't be. I know someone who has a non-perkable lot that they all of a sudden were assessed at like $60,000 for a
useless.
non-perkable, useless lot.
It's useless.
It is important to be an advocate for yourself. And I think, that's what we do here, is try and be an advocate for the community and
Yep.
answer questions.
Yep.
Well, I guess how a lot of people see it is, even if our property tax goes up, I think people are just getting a little bit more fed up with the fact that we're not getting a return from Whatcom County. And
Well,
I really
that's
would
what
like
we gotta work
us
on,
to rally around that.
So this is just my personal opinion, not that of, being on the PRCAC. I don't have an issue paying my property taxes. I have an issue in ensuring that I get a return on my property taxes. And I think that's where we as a community need to band together and say, we pay all of this money into this fund, that fund, and we're not getting the return on that funding in any shape, manner, or form. And we're no longer going to take no for an answer. And we want to see that money being invested back into our community.
Yeah.
Rather than saying we don't want to pay it, I don't mind paying it as long as I see it coming
Give me some
back
Give me some.
in infrastructure and, community projects.
Give us a bump. Throw us a bone or two.
A bone.
Right? You know, my biggest thing is I want Point Roberts to be self-sustainable as much as possible. I'm tired of asking for special permission. I just want us to be able to function as a community without having to ask for special.
Right.
And part of that is getting the county to reinvest into our community.
And or to becoming incorporated.
And not waiting 5 years to get anything back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm not going to go down the incorporation rabbit hole.
Yeah.
That's a whole
Yeah.
nother
Yeah.
rabbit hole to
Yeah.
go down.
Sure.
Yes.
I think the first thing is always to try and use the knowledge we have of how much money we put into
Right.
the county to our advantage
That's
to
exactly.
get those funds
Yep.
being spent back into our community.
Give me it back.
So Allison, you have the statistics over the past, I don't know how many years,
Mhm.
of how much tax money they have collected.
Mhm.
It's-
I did do 2023 into my spreadsheet yet, but yeah.
versus what they have put back into the community.
Well, so put back into the community is that I can't put down into a specific dollar because of how it goes through different, the parks, Whatcom County Parks Board, Public Works, but we do know that, I'm more looking at the fact of the current taxable value of Point Roberts is $935 million. We have 2,200 homes. We have 1,100 residents. If I look at the city of Everson, the taxable value of the city of Everson is only 400 million, less than half of the taxable value of Point Roberts. They have about 3,000 people and about 1,800 homes. They're able to, between property tax dollars, your Department of Revenue taxes for sales tax, your liquor tax, your REET funding, and everything else that, goes into a community or a city, or in our case, because we're unincorporated into Whatcom County, they're able to run their city. So
They should be able.
why do we not have the infrastructure that we need?
Yeah. Right.
When we are obviously bringing in double the amount of the city of Everson.
Yeah.
So, or even looking at the city of Sumas, their taxable value is like 300 million. So a third of ours. So those are the kind of things that I look at, as well as because they're all well documented in the Whatcom County tax books. That's not me saying it. It's actually Whatcom County's own data.
Are you going to be able to bring that up at candidates night?
I may. We'll see how many people have questions.
Yeah.
I would like to hear you say, give them some figures.
I did bring it up when the congressman was here, and we talked about it briefly when the congressman was here.
You
And
brought it up privately, though, right?
nope, I brought it up in the meeting after he said that Point Roberts has historically been underserved by Whatcom County.
Ah,
I have a question for you, Ally.
Sure.
Since the census is going to be taking into consideration the resort homes in the future, wouldn't doesn't the county use the census to help allocate their funding resources? So that's going to end up forcing them to provide more money for our area.
Yes, that will be something that we will absolutely be discussing and bringing forward to, I plan on bringing forward to Whatcom County in November prior to their budgeting sessions.
I know we're still talking about 10 years, which is the bad part about it, but it's something that is coming, and it's going to take a long time to, since they're going to have to use the data from the census for their budgeting. I know that.
Mhm.
Okay.
I'm working on it. I may not, depending on who becomes executive, be reappointed to the PRCAC in February. So let's just say that. But, okay.
We've got your back, Ally.
I'm good. I'll be on subcommittees. I'm not gonna be quiet. With that being said, Bennett's laughing at me. Does anyone else have any questions, concerns, or anything that they would like to bring to the committee? Okay, seeing none, as everybody heard Lee mention and stuff, please come out to the Meet the Candidates night on Monday night.
Yep.
I did have all 10 candidates, both for executive, at large, District 5, sheriff, and the school district, but we may be missing one, if not both of the members running for school district, because there is now a school district meeting on Monday night, and they're concerned that they won't be able to make it back for the school district meeting in time. But we definitely will have the 2 running for Whatcom County Executive, Whatcom County Council at Large, Whatcom County District 5, as well as Whatcom County Sheriffs.
Okay.
So anyone can come. The community center will be open at 5:30.
I did put that up on the chalkboard for you at golf.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah, the community center will be open at 5:30, just so that everybody can come in, get their seat. We will be starting at 6 o'clock, running till 7. There is, if you go on to Nextdoor, a Zoom link for those that wish to just watch but not participate. I don't have the capacity to take questions from those people who are online for Zoom, but it will be available for those who want to be able to watch but unable to make it. So I hope to see as many people as possible, and helping me with our OWL system and setting up and everything on Monday so that we can do this on Zoom.
Thank you.
I'm gonna make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye. Thank you everyone for coming.
I know. You know, it's really
Aye.
disconcerting thing looking at me.